Amazon Flex, in my opinion, is a great gig economy app with its flat $18 per hour. But before you sign up, before you take your first shift, even if they're not hiring in your market yet, but you want to get on the wait list, I'm going to give you 10 things that you should look at before you drive for Flex. If this is the first time that you and I are meeting, this channel is dedicated to your success in this gig economy, the side hustle. So if you are new here, consider subscribing. And for the very best accessories in your side hustle, make sure to check out my Amazon storefront, that linked down below. Now, I first started driving for Amazon Flex probably a good year and a half ago here in San Diego, California. And I recently picked up another shift about a week or so ago. So speaking from experience, there's 10 things here I want you to consider before driving. Now, if you're not familiar with Amazon Flex, if you're not driving for them yet, definitely an app that I feel you should keep in your arsenal in the gig economy. So Flex, that's parcel delivery for Amazon, small, medium, large boxes and envelopes. So number one, when you're making your delivery, don't make the mistake that I did, and I know you'll do this if you're new, is don't just scan the package, you find the correct package and deliver it to the customer and then leave. Surprisingly, I don't know why this is, but Flex has a good amount of steps to actually release that package. And yeah, maybe that's a security thing, but you have to scan the stop, mark that you've arrived and parked, and then you have to scan out the package. Then you have to click that you're continuing with the delivery. Then you have to confirm that you're making the delivery, and then you have to take a picture of the delivery, and then you have to close out the delivery. Let's compare that with some food delivery apps where you say, hey, I'm here, delivered. And again, I get it for security, but number one, when you're making your first deliveries, don't just deliver and then walk away, because I actually did that on my recent shift. You have to make sure you fully scan out the package before you can continue to your next stop. Number two is something that I've also done, not on my last shift, but really when I first started about a year and a half ago, is the app will not let you deliver unless you're in the exact radius on the app for the delivery. So if you're delivering to a home, right, there's going to be a small radius, a circle around that home that you can only deliver and release that package in that radius. Now it makes sense, right? Because that's where you're going to deliver. But let's say you just missed the last click on the Amazon Flex app, or there's just one little thing you need to do. Well, you're going to have to drive back if you haven't fully clicked out. Again, kind of going back to number one here. If you haven't fully clicked out, you have to be in that circle. Number three, something that I just noticed the other day, and other apps have done this as well, is when it comes to pay, you will get a flat $18 per hour, but look for available shifts closer to the starting time of shifts. And you may find incentive pay from Flex as they're trying to get drivers to fill those slots. Now, if you're a current driver, I get what you may say is, hey, there's no slots that are unfilled. It's hard enough to even grab slots, and I agree with that. But just speaking from experience here in San Diego, and I'm sure this happens in other markets, if there is a need for drivers and there are slots that are unfilled and you have some free time, look at the Flex app right before, maybe 45 minutes, 30 minutes maybe before that shift starts, to look for incentive pay. Number four, this is a viewer submission from one of you guys, and I really appreciate that. And I'm going to use this on my next Flex shift. So shout out to you, is keeping envelopes in the front seat. So what I've always done is keep those kind of, the manila bags or the white and blue Amazon bags, envelopes that you're going to deliver. I keep them either in my rear passenger seat or of course in the trunk. I'll just keep them in the passenger seat if it gets too full. But keeping all those envelopes in the actual front passenger seat makes a lot of sense. It's going to save me another trip just getting out. It's going to save my doors from another open and close with the trunk or the rear door there. I can just look right next to me in the seat right next to me. So I like that tip. Moving on to number five, hide those packages. Now it kind of stands for a reason if you already drive for Flex, but if you don't, and when I was new, I didn't really do this as well as I should have, is hiding those packages, specifically from Street View. Use your surroundings, whatever it is, the front patio furniture, any plants, any walls at the patio front door. Just hide the package from street view. Because if you get too many negative critiques about that, that can actually get you deactivated. Number 6 is you really don't want to drive back to the warehouse. Now, why would you? If there is a package that is undeliverable for whatever reason, you can't access the home, the apartment, you've called, you've texted, you've done whatever you can do, you've waited outside for 15 minutes hoping that another tenant comes out of the building, you cannot deliver. You're going to mark that package as undeliverable, and yes, you're going to have to drive back to the warehouse. Which, unless that's on your way home anyway, you really don't want to do. Because with Flex, obviously you have to drive to the warehouse to get your packages. So you drive there, you get your packages, and then you drive to your delivery destination. The last thing you want to do is driving back to that warehouse before you can go home, obviously a lot of miles that you don't want. But you're also going to have to accept that I've had this happen. I've had to drive back to the warehouse. You're going to have to accept that it's going to happen. Number 7, if your deliveries go smoothly, and most every time they will, and you finish early, you get paid for the entirety of your scheduled shift. In my experience doing Flex for months, there's a good amount of times that I finish 15, 30, 45 minutes early. And that's basically free time, because if you finish an hour early, you'll get paid for each hour that you've been scheduled with Flex. Now, extremely rare, but I've had drivers tell me, well, I've gotten to the warehouse and they didn't even have any packages for me. I scheduled a shift and they didn't have anything for me to deliver. But since I reserved my time, I set aside my time, they were paid for the entire shift with no work. Now that is extremely rare, and I don't think that's really going to happen a lot because frankly, a lot of people order stuff, so there's always going to be something to deliver. But you can have shifts with significantly less packages. For instance, my last shift, it was a 2.5-hour shift. I had 29 packages, but I've had 3-hour shifts with like 12 packages. So that's a nice surprise, but also keep in mind I've had those 3-hour shifts where they've chalked me full of packages. Number 8, this is going to come down to expenses and strategy. Consider if you really want to shut off your car in between deliveries or if you can just keep it idling. Now this goes to you. I accept no responsibility for you doing this, but if you're just delivering in a safe neighborhood, you're going to find that a lot of your deliveries, they're pretty rapid fire. It's this house, then skip 5 houses and deliver to that house, and then go a block down and deliver to that. So you don't always want to shut off your engine just to fire it back up again. Number 9, this is a big one and probably one of the most common questions you may have when driving. Can I bring someone along with me? A spouse, a friend, a pet? Well, this is what Amazon's actual site says. So here's the actual frequently asked questions that mentions this, but here's the short of it. Can you bring someone? Yes. Can they help out? No. So if you want someone for moral support, by all means, go for it. But based on what Amazon is saying in their basically terms of service here, they can't have any interaction with the customer. They can't have any interactions at the warehouse. They can't have any interactions for the actual delivery. So again, in essence, can they help morally? Yes. Can they help physically? No. And number 10, is this whole Amazon Flex thing worth it? If you're a new driver, if you've just signed up, you're waiting to get onboarded, if they're not hiring in your area yet, but you want to get on the wait list, is it worth it? So as I mentioned, yes, you will get a flat $18 per hour in gross revenue with Flex. And in my opinion, that's pretty fair. If we look at some of these other apps in the gig economy, there's no guarantee you're going to earn $18 even in gross revenue per hour on those apps. So the pay, yeah, I think it's pretty fair, but biggest caveat, in my opinion at least, with Flex is I feel like it's one of the most labor-intensive apps in the gig economy. Because yeah, you're going to be loading, unloading, delivering, stopping quickly to make these delivery stops with Flex. And like I mentioned, 2.5-hour shift, 29 packages, which I think was kind of on the medium end of the amount of packages. but I've had the longer shifts that were like 50 some packages. And keep in mind, you're gonna have to lift upwards of 20, maybe 30, maybe 40 pounds. But if you're physically able to do this work, in my experience, it goes by pretty quickly. And the miles are pretty short as well. You are quite literally delivering to one small pocket of your marketplace. So if you made it this far, I'm guessing you're at least in part interested in driving for Flex. So check the links down below in the description to see if Flex is hiring in your market. If you got value in this video, definitely leave me a like. And you can also click or tap the screen now for my most recent video, as well as a video recommended for you. And I'll see you in the next one.